It is becoming increasingly important to understand the constraints imposed by environmental characteristics on the behaviour of animals. Understanding these limitations is important from a theoretical point of view because it documents the world around us. But it is also of practical importance because it can help to inform management and conservation strategies. The behaviour of an animal is mediated to varying degrees by information provided to them in the environment. And one source of information comes from motion. Motion vision is functionally important because it allows animals to navigate their environment, to locate prey and to avoid predators. Now we know a lot about how motion vision works, but rarely do we study motion vision in natural environments. A couple of key questions arise then. Firstly, how is relevant movement in the environment distinguished from irrelevant movement, which we might call noise? And secondly, what are the sensory limitations that require an animal to change its behaviour to ensure it's able to detect relevant information? Important insights into the sensory and ecological limitations that govern behaviour have been gained from studying animal signals. Animal signals are a useful system to understand sensory and environmental constraints, as they have evolved to be effective in the environment in which they are emitted. The diversity we see in signal structure directly reflects ecological factors, as the physical structure of microhabitats can affect signal transmission, making certain kinds of signals more effective than others. The use of movement to communicate is widespread in the animal kingdom, including our own attempts to gain the attention of someone in a crowd, or when it's really busy, how we try to elaborate that signal. For most animals that communicate with movement, it is the motion of wind-blown plants that causes noise that limits the detectability of a signal. Our work in the Animal Behaviour Group at La Trobe University focuses on the dragon lizards of Australia. Nearly half of the almost 80-odd species rely on movement to communicate, and the contrasting environments of the Australian continent provide for fascinating variation in environmental context.
So to quantify motion and noise in a meaningful way is actually not as straightforward as we thought. There are many aspects of the study of motion that put forward a lot of difficulties for researchers in comparison to other communication modality studies. So a solution is needed for us to simultaneously consider animal signal and also the plant movement in the environment, as the plant motion varies from one species to another or one individual to another, and also microhabitat structure in relation to where the signaling animal is located in relation to the plants, and also environmental variables such as wind condition or light condition. And these are just some of the variables that we need to consider, and we need a solution that will allow us to systematically manipulate one or more of these components. To achieve this in natural environment will be impractical, because even with multiple synchronized camera and continuously filming throughout the year, we will not be able to achieve the level of control that we needed, and we'll also not be able to isolate one of those key components for us to be able to make systematic manipulations.
We believe we can achieve these goals by replacing the difficult task of filming in nature with the creation of simulated environments using sophisticated 3D models. These are not unlike the ones we see in major movies and games. Using realistic 3D models of signaling animals and habitats offers great potential for exploring the evolutionary constraints on motion-based signals. Animations have been used to generate signaling animals in biological experiments, and past studies have created 3D environments for virtual reality experiments as well. However, the full potential of 3D animation has not been harnessed to simulate signaling environments, nor has it been used as a computational platform for exploring vision-based constraints on animal behaviour. Our goal for this paper was to introduce an interdisciplinary approach that unites biology with the digital arts. We wanted to provide an innovative way to explore the relationship between animal behaviour and environmental characteristics. We illustrate how we can manipulate the level of wind and simulate different light environments, as well as examining the effect of shifting the position of a signalling animal relative to key features of the landscape. All of this is achieved with precision and control over all parameters of interest. Importantly, our animations incorporate real-world data, from the signal movements filmed in nature to sophisticated algorithms that match light conditions at a precise location and time of year.
In our paper, we focus on the motion signaling of lizards, but this by no means implies that the tool is limited to this topic, and we are actually very excited by the many different ways that it could be extended and applied to other topics and systems.
Replicating natural environments in sophisticated detail will allow us to explore motion ecology more broadly. Systematic manipulations of environmental features and animal movements will more clearly define the image motion computation requirements for a variety of functional behaviors, like the detection of potential prey or predators. And we also see this simulation tool as being useful for exploring how signals of a species from one microhabitat will perform if we place it into a completely different habitat. And a translocation experiment of this kind with real animals will undoubtedly not be possible in Australia due to permit regulations. But it is achievable now with this simulation tool, and we expect it to be highly informative.
The simulations we utilize in the present paper focus on terrestrial environments at a scale of meters, but the options for simulated landscapes are far greater. We encourage others to consider this approach, whether you're working on terrestrial or aquatic systems, and at a variety of spatial scales, from landscape to macrospatial scales.
The use of 3D animation is a novel approach to understanding motion ecology of animals in more detail. However, we don't just see it as being a tool for scientific research. The scenes we create provide an exciting opportunity to engage public attention and as a teaching tool for students. The simulated microhabitats we create could be repurposed as interactive applications for tablets and other devices, to be used within museums and schools to provide better user experiences and as a way of enhancing self-guided learning.